Hello and welcome. Today I'm in the Tier 9 Japanese carrier Taihou again. I'm on the map North, and the enemy team also has a Tier 9 carrier and Essex. Yes, both teams have an additional carrier, but those are like Tier 5, so they don't really matter. I started out by taking my bombers into the air and decided to go for the enemy Essex. I snuck through the map on the right side to, well, be able to make sure that his fighters won't have an easy time intercepting me. On top of that, this means cruisers are less likely to try and go defend their carrier. Oh, and I already found the Essex. Thank you. My team has one cruiser per carrier defending, which is really useful.
Group 5, we're under attack. Group
Which you probably should be doing in a cruiser if you want to win, but it won't really give you much. I decide to be lazy and do a terrible drop. I could have dropped from the outside, but since the fighter was there, I didn't have much time, and if I mess that up, the entire drop is going to be screwed. So I decided to take my chances, especially because the fighters seem to engage the torpedo bombers and probably won't be doing much to my dive bombers now. And I got him to use his repair anyway, so I'll be striking him with fire. This should also give me time to get some torpedo bombers back here, and his fighter won't have any ammunition left. Look, he's on fire. He cannot land his fighter right now, and he doesn't have a repair. I also send my dive bombers back without going over the enemy fleet because I'd like them to not die. But right now he can't land his fighters, and his fighters don't have any ammunition, which means I can get planes here to strike at him. He probably won't die to this fire, but it's going to cause a lot of damage and he can't cycle any planes. This cruiser protecting me is a bit odd. Since I'm not in danger, he's essentially wasting time, but I'll try not to be crass to him, although I did tell him not to defend me. I mean, he's trying to help me, so being rude is just a bad idea. But yeah, the Essex can't do much at this moment. Yes, he has... well, these aren't his fighters, these are the Taihou's fighters. Which is a bit funny that he's following my planes like that. He should have just intercepted. If he had plotted an intercept course, he could have engaged the torpedo bombers, but he didn't. He just selected the plane and clicked on it. Which meant that the fighters will just follow my planes, and because my torpedo bombers are so much higher tiered than his, it means that they will just outrun or move at a similar speed. So I'll try to do another poor drop on the Essex. I just need to hit him a few times, which should cause him flooding, and he will probably use something against it. On top of that, actually, a few torpedo hits could kill him. I just want to attack quickly because I'm afraid his fighter will be back up in a moment, which would be a bit problematic. And I messed up a great drop opportunity right now, which was horrible. So I'll try to get one torpedo hit. Oh well, let's hope for the best. And it didn't even cause flooding. How unfortunate. But I still have one torpedo bomber and one dive bomber. I select the dive bomber to attack so I don't mess up getting too close to the Essex, especially because the fighter is in the air already. But it seems he went for the dive bomber with the fighter, which pretty much gives me an opportunity to do a drop. That was really odd. He could have prevented the drop instead of the dive bombers, but he decided not to. Oh well, I guess it's his loss. He really should have attacked the torpedo bomber with the fighters instead. But well, anyways, the Essex is dead and the Taihou seems to be pretty out of position. Not to mention, I'm not that worried about the Taihou. These planes are so weak they'll probably die to anti-air most ships in this game. On top of that, he's in such a position that he's like dying to random stuff. But I mean, if I can finish him off, that's just a good idea, since he can still be annoying with his fighter or fighters. I'm not sure how many he has. On top of that, he's like super low HP. So if he doesn't die from this, I want to set him on fire. Also, I noticed they have an AFK battleship that's in the base, which I'd like to set on fire. That will just deal a massive amount of damage, because who knows, maybe the battleship will come back at some time and it will be problematic. Right now is an easy time to take them out. Unfortunate that I couldn't do my drop against this New Orleans before he used his ability, but oh well. At least the Taihou burned down. Now I'd like to set the battleship on fire, since he's not going to repair as he's AFK. Let's try doing that. I mean, it'll give a ton of damage and experience as well, so it's always beneficial. Right now I have to be a bit cautious with my torpedo bombers, since I've run out. I only have 9 torpedo bombers left, and it's 11 minutes to go. Unfortunate that the cruiser ability was used to protect an AFK battleship, but you know, useful for us, I guess. But yeah, oh look, a cruiser that's shooting at me. I guess I'll bring all my torpedo bombers back to deal with this Aoba. And I start moving forwards to make shooting at me a bit more difficult. This fighter is annoying, but I'll deal with it.
Group 3 taking fire.
Bit unfortunate that my torpedo bombers are so spread out, but I'm so close to the ship that it's a bad idea to start messing around to try to stack them. Well, at least I didn't have to deal with the fighter. These torpedoes from the Aoba are completely wasted. There's absolutely no way they're going to hit anything useful. So I'd still like to set the Nagata on fire. But I don't like all of these cruisers around him, and maybe it's not a good idea to drop him at all, so I just decide to pull back instead. Bit unfortunate with the drop, I guess. I was hoping I would deal a lot more damage to the Aoba. I wasn't paying attention, so maybe I messed up. I'll try to use my dive bombers on these battleships instead of the Nagata that's AFK that has like 2 New Orleans around it. Since these battleships are actually active.
Group 7, we're under attack.
The Fuso is a better target, as he has more HP. And I think a Fuso is more dangerous to my team. So I'll bring my fighters back to deal with all of these battleship and cruiser fighters. And seems like somebody killed the Aoba. Thank you very much. Well, I'm glad the New Mexico is dying. Seems like we're winning. Although from the amount of ships left, right now it's pretty equal. They have 1 additional battleship though. But that's okay. Also, if you look at the positioning of our ships, we have a cruiser in our base which isn't doing anything useful for us at this current moment. Yes, he defended us, he did everything right. I'm just saying that in terms of the power we have on the map, that cruiser isn't adding anything at this current moment. So just looking at the number of ships left doesn't tell the entire picture.
Returning to ship.
Also, one of our crew carriers that's left is a tier 5 carrier. And against these kinds of ships, effectiveness can be low. If he actually even has planes. I mean, he has some, it seems, but you know, considering I have already run out of planes, it wouldn't be very surprising if he had run out of planes as well. Yeah, dealing with this Fusa is probably the best one. This is a bit of a fail drop. I should have, you know, dropped a lot further back. I could have hit with at least one additional torpedo. Wait, no. Since it was 2 groups, it would have been at least 2 additional torpedoes. I guess, I mean, I do have a Taihou, so I just need some time, and there's like 7 minutes left, which should be plenty. Maybe not to deal with all of these enemies, but I still have some teammates left. And that fire was brutal. Since I looked at, oh look, 3 fires, I decided to go for the other battleship, but it seems the Fusa used his repair. Now I would like to set him on fire again then, kill him. Nine fires out of 13 bombs is very good. Very bad RNG here. Only 1 bomb hit, and it seemed like a decent drop to me. And no fires. That fire should have killed him. And we're at a disadvantage. We have 2 carriers, 1 cruiser and 1 battleship against their 3 battleships and 2 cruisers. On top of that, I think my friendly carrier does not actually have torpedo bombers left. And this is a bit of a fail drop, although you'd think that this would hit some bombs at least, but it didn't. So I've had 2 fail drops in a row against this Fusa, which is really unfortunate. At least the New Orleans is low HP, so dealing with him is possible. 1 torpedo bomber. I should have dropped closer like this, but the drop got locked in. So this is gonna miss. I'll try to drop from the other side because the Fusa could hug the island, which would make dropping from this side difficult and hard. But then I decide to go for another target and use these torpedo bombers to finish off the Fusa because he's healing, and that means he'll have a ton of HP. I want this friendly battleship to survive. Actually, I need to hit that Fusa with something more again. I don't think he's going to die to that flooding, so I'll use these dive bombers instead. If only I hadn't missed that drop, or I had a bit better RNG, this Fusa would already be dead. I guess this dive bomber drop is a bit unnecessary now. Low HP, and the friendly dive bombers already finished it off. I should have waited and seen how it goes and then used it on the Colorado instead. 3 minutes for a Colorado in New Orleans seems entirely doable. Although if I lose too many of my torpedo bombers, it could be a bit problematic. The main issue is that I need to trigger the New Orleans' special ability at least 40, something like a whole minute before the timer will run out. This means that I need to start an attack on a New Orleans at like 90 seconds left. No fire again, unfortunate. So actually there's a lot less time left than it originally seemed, but luckily I still have a friendly cruiser here that's doing their best. these kinds of fail drops are incredibly bad. Because if he had decent anti-air, like the sea hull, this entire group would probably be dead already. Okay, the New Orleans has to be targeted in a moment. And it seems that Colorado is actually going to die to the flooding. Thank God that he doesn't have the upgraded hull. If the New Orleans uses his ability, that could delay an attack by 40 seconds. But luckily I got to the New Orleans early. I'll try to use the dive bomber on the Colorado and save the torpedo bombers for the New Orleans. If this fire hadn't happened, I don't know. That could be pretty bad. The fighters aren't important anymore, so finish off the fighters and go elsewhere. And the New Orleans should be attackable again. So I'll pull all of my torpedo bombers in to finish him off. I just need like 2 or 3 torpedo hits. Going spread out like this could be a pretty bad idea, but I noticed where he was heading, which means that if he gets between those 2 islands, I might be unable to finish him off at all. So I had to scramble to attack, and he couldn't get between the islands. And 1 was enough with the dive bombers. This was a pretty difficult match actually, but 7600 experience is good. 2500 score could be better, but it's not a bad idea. I like the 99999 torpedo bomber damage. And I did a good 100 and something 80k damage, I guess. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, then please subscribe, and I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.